It is February 2026, and you know what that means? No, not just Valentine's Day. It means Apple is about to drop a new phone. And no, we aren't talking about the iPhone 18 yet. Hold your horses. We are talking about the iPhone 17e. Now, let's be real for a second. Last year's iPhone 16e? It was, well, let's just be polite and call it lukewarm. It was a bit like getting socks for Christmas. Practical, but nobody was jumping for joy. But it looks like Apple took that personally. Because according to the latest leaks, the iPhone 17e is shaping up to be a massive redemption arc. We have a fresh design, a better screen, and finally, features that should have been there years ago. If you've been holding on to that cracked iPhone 12 or 13 waiting for a sign, this might actually be it. So, grab a coffee. Let's break down everything we know about Apple's budget-friendly banger. First things first, let's talk about the look. If you picked up an iPhone 16e, you were basically holding an iPhone 14 design, which was already 2.5 years old. Talk about retro, right? The iPhone 17e is finally ditching that sharp, boxy feel. It's moving to the iPhone 15 style design language. That means contoured edges. It sounds like a small thing, but trust me, your pinky finger will thank you. It is just so much more comfortable to hold without a case. Now look at the screen. The notch is dead. Long live the dynamic island. Finally, the budget iPhone looks like a modern iPhone. You're getting that 6.1-inch display with the interactive pill cutout, which is great for tracking your Uber Eats or changing music. But, and there is always a but, with Apple, we have to talk about the screen compromises. While the brightness is getting a massive bump to 2000 nits, which is fantastic for outdoor use, it is still lacking the Pro features. We are still stuck with thicker bezels compared to the flagship 17. And the big heartbreaker? No promotion. We are likely still looking at a 60 Hz panel. In 2026. I know. It hurts. If you are used to 120 Hz, this will look choppy. If you're coming from an older iPhone 11 or 12, you won't notice a thing. Also, leaks suggest it lacks the ceramic shield front glass, so you might want to invest in a screen protector unless you like living dangerously. Okay, let's look under the hood. This is where the E series usually punches above its weight class. Like clockwork, Apple is throwing in the A19 chip. This isn't a watered-down, budget chip. This is the new silicon. We are expecting a solid 15 to 20% boost in CPU speed and a massive 30 to 40% jump in GPU performance. Now, keep in mind, this is likely a binned version, meaning it might have one less GPU core than the flagship iPhone 17. But honestly, for scrolling TikTok, playing games, and editing photos, it is going to fly. But speed isn't everything. We need to talk about connection. The modem situation is interesting. Apple is likely sticking with their C1 series modem. It's efficient, it works well, no complaints there. But the big news is the Wi-Fi chip. Rumors point to the N1 chip, which would bring Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread networking to the budget line. That is huge for future-proofing. However, there is a ghost in the machine we need to address. The ultra-wideband chip. The iPhone 16e didn't have one, which was wild because even the iPhone 11 had it. If Apple leaves this out again, you lose precision finding for AirTags. You know, that little arrow that points to your lost keys? Yeah, that feature is essential. Let's hope Apple puts the U1 or U2 chip back in. Otherwise, my keys are gone forever. Speaking of things that should never have been removed, let's talk about magnets. Removing MagSafe from the iPhone 16e was probably one of the most confusing decisions Apple ever made. We live in a world where even Android phones, like the Pixel 10, support magnetic accessories thanks to the Qi 2 standard. It was embarrassing that the creator of MagSafe sold a phone without it. But redemption is here. The iPhone 17e is confirmed to have MagSafe. Thank goodness. Whether it's the older 15-watt standard or the newer, faster 25-watt charging from the iPhone 16 series remains to be seen. But honestly, I don't care. As long as I can snap my wallet and battery pack to the back of the phone, I am happy. And it will certainly beat the painfully slow 7.5-watt wireless charging of last year's model. Alright, smile for the camera. What are we working with here? On the back, it's business as usual. We are looking at a single 48-megapixel fusion camera. It's likely the exact same hardware as the 16e. And that is fine. That camera takes great photos, handles low light well, and keeps the cost down. It's simple, effective, and does the job. The real story is around the front. The leaks suggest Apple is bringing the 18-megapixel center stage camera down to the 17e. This is the same selfie cam found on the flagship iPhone 17 and the iPhone Air. This is a big deal if you FaceTime a lot or create content. Center stage follows you around the room, keeping you in the frame. Plus, having that high-resolution sensor means your selfies are going to look crisp. There is also chatter about action mode coming to the single-camera setup, which would make your videos buttery smooth even if you have shaky hands. Now, here is a hot take. I think the iPhone 17e might be the battery king of 2026. Hear me out. The iPhone 16e already had stellar battery life because it didn't have a bunch of power-hungry pro features. With the iPhone 17e, the chassis is slightly taller, thanks to that new design, which means physical room for a bigger battery cell. Combine a bigger battery with the efficiency of the C1 modem, plus the fact that the screen isn't pushing 120 Hz, and you have a recipe for endurance. Plus, in iOS 26, the new adaptive power mode is enabled by default. This phone could easily last 2 days for a light user, potentially even outlasting the flagship iPhone 17. If you value battery over everything else, this might be the model to watch. Everything sounds great so far, right? But in the world of Apple, it all comes down to the price tag. The general consensus is that the iPhone 17e will start at $599. That is the sweet spot. It matches the price of the 16e. But here is where Apple needs to make a move. If they sell this phone with 128 gigabytes of storage for $600 in 2026, that is a bad deal. Apps are bigger, photos are 48 megapixels, and iOS updates take up massive space. The rumor, and my strong hope, is that 256 gigabytes will become the new standard for the base model. Think about it. If the 256 gigabytes version of the flagship iPhone 17 is only $100 more than this phone, nobody would buy the 17e. To make this phone worth it, Apple has to give us storage. This release also clears up the lineup. We could see the iPhone 16 price drop to $499, making it the new entry-level king, while the 17e sits comfortably in the middle. It simplifies things. You have the cheap one, the good enough one, and the Pro 1.0. When can you give Apple your money? History repeats itself. February 2026 seems to be the target. This mirrors the February launch of the 16e last year. Production is reportedly starting right after CES 2026. However, there is a curveball. Apple is rumored to be holding a bigger event in March 2026. We are expecting a new $600 MacBook, a new home hub device, and updates to the iPad Air and Mini. Apple could delay the phone slightly to group it all into one big spring event. But usually, these E-class phones just get a press release and a cool video on the website. No fanfare, just here it is, buy it. So, that is the iPhone 17e. It's got the looks of the 15, the power of the 19, and the magnets are back, baby. For the vast majority of people, especially if you are watching this on an iPhone 11, 12, or 13, this looks like the upgrade you have been waiting for. You get the dynamic island, USB-C, MagSafe, and a battery that won't quit, all without spending $1,000. Sure, the 60 Hz screen is a bummer for us tech nerds. But for your mom? For your friend who just wants iMessage to work? They won't care. I want to know what you think though. Is the lack of a 120 Hz screen a deal breaker for you in 2026? Or is the $599 price tag tempting enough to make you switch? Let me know down in the comments. I read all of them. And hey, if you enjoyed this leak breakdown, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the full review when this thing actually drops. Catch you in the next one.